The sky above the Zarenth capital shimmered with strange colors, a swirling mixture of violet, gold, and deep blue. Towering spires of crystal and metal reflected the light in dazzling patterns, making the city look like a jewel floating in space. The streets below were filled with citizens moving with purpose, their movements precise and coordinated, like a single organism. Every eye seemed to be on the palace at the heart of the city, where the alien queen, Alara, prepared for a day that would change everything. Alara was a figure of grace and power. Standing taller than most of her species, her skin glowed with a soft pearlescent sheen. Her eyes, a brilliant emerald, could read the smallest intentions of those around her. She had ruled her people for decades, earning both respect and fear. Yet today, despite her usual composure, a small spark of doubt flickered within her. The human, Nathan, was already in the palace, escorted by ceremonial guards who had been instructed to treat him with honor, but not too much familiarity. Nathan looked nothing like the warriors or nobles she was accustomed to. His frame was average, his hair dark and simple, his eyes brown and steady. He carried himself with quiet confidence, a calm presence that drew no attention yet seemed to settle the room. Alara had been told to expect a human ambassador, someone who could act as a political ally to the Zarenth Empire. The idea of marriage had been suggested by her advisors as a way to secure peace. Alara had agreed reluctantly. Marriage to a human was unusual, almost unheard of, but the political advantages were undeniable. Still, she had never imagined the human would be so normal. Nathan knelt before her as the ceremony began. His voice was steady when he spoke in the Zarenth tongue, a complex language full of musical tones and subtle inflections. I come not to claim power or dominion. I come to stand beside you in respect and in partnership. Alara studied him, her mind racing. There was something in the way he spoke that was unexpected. It was not arrogance or fear, but something deeper. She sensed intelligence, awareness, and a quiet strength she could not yet define. Her advisors whispered among themselves, noting the human's calm demeanor. Some were skeptical, others curious. The ceremony moved forward. Ancient rituals were performed, light and energy weaving around the throne room in intricate patterns. Alara's people watched with awe, their faith in their queen unwavering. Yet as Nathan rose to stand beside her, a subtle shift occurred. The energy around him seemed to respond to his presence, not in ways anyone could explain. Alara felt it as a faint pulse, a rhythm that matched her own heartbeat. When the vows were exchanged, Nathan's words were simple but powerful. I will protect this empire and serve with honor. I will face challenges without fear and seek solutions with wisdom. His tone was calm, yet it carried weight beyond the room's walls. Alara felt a shiver of surprise. No human she had ever met spoke with such clarity or understanding of alien society. The crowd erupted in applause and the palace filled with celebration. Music and lights intertwined, creating a spectacle that dazzled the senses. Yet amidst the festivities, Alara could not shake the feeling that this human was unlike any other she had encountered. There was an energy in him, subtle but undeniable, that suggested hidden depths. Over the next few hours, Nathan moved among the guests with ease. He spoke politely to advisors and nobles, showing interest in their concerns and offering thoughtful suggestions. When questioned about human technology and strategies, he explained them in ways that made sense even to those unfamiliar with Earth. Alara watched him closely, noting the careful way he listened and the precision of his responses. At one point, a minor incident occurred. A ceremonial guard tripped and nearly dropped a delicate crystal artifact. Nathan reacted instantly, catching the artifact with one hand while steadying the guard with the other. The crowd gasped at the speed and accuracy of his movements. Alara's eyes widened slightly. This human, who seemed ordinary in every way, possessed reflexes and coordination that rivaled even the most trained Zarenth warriors. As the day progressed, Alara found herself drawn to him. She had never been interested in political marriages, seeing them as arrangements of convenience rather than connection. Yet Nathan's presence was different. He did not seek to impress with power or wealth. He did not manipulate or boast. Instead, he observed, listened, and acted with purpose. Alara felt a strange sense of respect growing within her, one she had not anticipated. By evening, the palace gardens were alive with lights and floating orbs of energy. Guests wandered among exotic plants, some glowing softly, others emitting fragrant scents that filled the air. Nathan and Alara walked together along a pathway lined with crystalline trees. The silence between them was comfortable, a rare experience for the queen. "You seem at ease here," Alara said finally, her voice soft. Nathan smiled slightly. "I try to understand the world I am in before trying to change it. Every place has rules and every people have ways. I have learned that listening is often more important than acting immediately." Alara nodded slowly. His words were simple, yet their meaning ran deep. The wisdom in his calm observation reminded her of why she had survived so long as a ruler. Nathan was not merely polite. He was perceptive, and his perception extended beyond the obvious. As night fell, the city below shimmered with lights reflecting off the crystal towers. Alara and Nathan stood on a balcony overlooking the capital. The wind was cool, carrying scents from the gardens below. For the first time in years, Alara felt uncertain about her own expectations. This human was supposed to be a political tool, yet he had already begun to influence her thoughts, her observations, and even her emotions. A small alarm sounded in the distance, a reminder of the fragile peace that held the empire together. Yet Nathan's calm reaction contrasted sharply with the usual tension of the palace. "The advisors will handle it," he said simply, "but I am ready to assist if needed." Alara's eyes lingered on him. There was something in his manner, a quiet confidence that did not demand attention yet commanded it. She realized that his strength was not just in words or actions. It was in presence, in the way he moved through the world without fear, without pretense. She had been queen for decades, yet Nathan's presence made her feel as though she were seeing the world anew. The night ended with quiet reflection. Alara returned to her chambers, her mind filled with thoughts of the human she had married. She recalled his steady gaze, the precision of his movements, and the clarity of his words. She could not deny it, Nathan was remarkable. And though she did not yet understand the full measure of his abilities, she sensed that the days to come would reveal far more than anyone in the empire could imagine. For the first time, Alara felt a mixture of anticipation and uncertainty. The political marriage that had seemed a mere formality had already begun to shift in ways she had not predicted. Nathan, the human she married, was far more than he appeared, and the empire, for all its traditions and power, was about to witness the awakening of a force that could change everything. As she drifted to sleep, Alara's last thought was simple but clear. This human was not ordinary. He was extraordinary, and soon she would see just how deep his true power ran. The morning after the wedding, the palace buzzed with activity. Alara moved through the grand halls with her usual confidence, yet a small part of her mind remained focused on Nathan. He had spent the night quietly in his quarters, but she knew he had already begun to observe the palace, the guards, the advisors, and the routines of her people. That quiet watchfulness unsettled some of her court, but Alara found it intriguing. Nathan entered the council chamber carrying no weapons and no signs of arrogance. The room was vast, filled with holographic displays of the empire's territories, fleets, and defenses. Advisors and generals stood waiting, their expressions polite but wary. Nathan bowed to the queen, then turned his attention to the data before him. "Good morning," he said in the Zarinth tongue. "I have reviewed the reports you sent. I believe there are several areas where minor adjustments could strengthen your defenses and improve communication between fleets." The head advisor raised an eyebrow. "Adjustments? Human, do you understand the complexity of our systems? Even the queen relies on trained strategists for these matters." Nathan's brown eyes met the advisor's sharply. "I may be human, but I have studied interstellar systems, military strategy, and adaptive technologies. I only offer what I believe will help. The final decisions remain yours and the Queen's." Alara watched the exchange carefully. Nathan spoke with confidence but without disrespect. The head advisor opened his mouth to argue further, but Alara raised a hand. "We will hear him. Nathan has observed our systems for a while. Let him explain his ideas. If they are flawed, we can adjust. If they are sound, they may save lives." Nathan smiled slightly, not out of arrogance but from a sense of relief that the Queen trusted him. He moved to the holographic display, his hands flowing over the controls with surprising ease. Lines of data shifted and reconfigured as he highlighted weak points in the Empire's defenses. "Your fleet is strong," he began, "but your patrols are predictable. Enemies can learn your patterns and exploit them. I suggest rotating patrols in irregular intervals and using drones to monitor blind spots. Additionally, your communication networks are centralized. If a main hub is attacked, it could cause delays across the system. Decentralizing key communication nodes will reduce risk. The generals exchanged uneasy glances. Some of Nathan's suggestions were simple in concept, but the implications were profound. The human understood their systems in ways they had never considered. Even the Queen's advisors, who had spent decades perfecting strategies, found themselves re-evaluating their assumptions. Alara leaned forward. "How did you learn these things?" she asked quietly, almost to herself. Nathan's expression remained calm. Observation, study, and understanding patterns. Humans have adapted to unpredictable challenges for centuries. I apply the same approach here. The head advisor finally spoke, his tone a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. "If your suggestions work, human, you may have more influence in this empire than any outsider ever had." Nathan simply nodded. "I do not seek influence. I seek results." After the council meeting, Alara accompanied Nathan to walk through the palace corridors. Guards and staff gave them wide space, sensing that Nathan was no ordinary human. Alara could feel the subtle shift in energy around him, a presence that demanded attention without force. "You are unlike any human I have met," she said softly. Nathan glanced at her, a small smile playing on his lips. "I am not like most humans. I have trained to adapt, to observe, and to act when necessary. That is why I am here beside you." Alara studied him carefully. She had ruled for decades and seen countless warriors, diplomats, and spies. Few had impressed her as Nathan did. Yet she felt a growing unease he was still holding back. She could sense it, like an energy just beneath the surface waiting to be revealed. That afternoon, an unexpected test of Nathan's abilities arrived. A minor fleet of alien mercenaries had breached the outer defenses, testing the Empire's readiness. Alara immediately moved to the command center, expecting to oversee the response herself. Nathan followed calmly, not rushing, not panicking. "Prepare the defenses," he said quietly to the operators, "but leave some channels unblocked. I want to observe the enemy before committing all resources." Alara's eyes widened. "You are letting them approach?" "That is risky." Nathan's voice remained steady, not reckless. "Observing their formation and strategy will allow us to counter more effectively. Reaction without understanding is wasteful." The enemy fleet appeared on the main display. Nathan's eyes scanned the patterns of their ships, noting every movement, every signal, and every anomaly. Within moments, he identified their weaknesses, their likely targets, and the gaps in the Empire's defenses. "Deploy drones to the northern sector," he instructed. "Rotate the patrol ships to flank positions, but leave the central corridor lightly defended. They will take the bait." Alara watched as the commands were executed with precision. The enemy fleet advanced, drawn into the trap. As predicted, their main attack concentrated on the lightly defended corridor, only to be intercepted by the repositioned patrol ships and drones. Within minutes, the intruders were forced to retreat, their fleet damaged and disorganized. The room erupted in astonishment. Advisors and generals stared at Nathan, struggling to understand how a human had anticipated every move. Alara felt a surge of respect, tinged with awe. This was more than skill, it was intuition, strategy, and calm under pressure combined. "Human," Alara said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "You are far more capable than anyone expected." Nathan bowed slightly. "I only act when necessary. Your Empire's safety is my priority." Word of Nathan's performance spread quickly through the palace. Guards, servants, and even nobles whispered about the human who had saved the city without firing a single shot. Some were skeptical, unsure if luck had played a role. Others were beginning to believe that this human might truly be extraordinary. Over the following days, Nathan continued to observe, learn, and assist. He studied alien technologies, suggesting modifications that increased efficiency. He learned the cultural nuances of the court, understanding what actions would build trust and what would cause tension. Every time the Queen watched him, she felt a growing sense of amazement. One evening, as they walked through the palace gardens again, Alara spoke openly. "I cannot understand you fully. You appear human, yet your understanding, your timing, it is beyond what I thought possible." Nathan looked at her, his gaze calm and direct. "I am human, yes. But humans have strengths that others underestimate. Adaptability, creativity, and observation are just the beginning. I am only beginning to show what I can do. Alara's heart raced slightly. She had anticipated political maneuvering, diplomatic games, and careful negotiation. She had not anticipated being impressed, awed even, by the human she had married. There was something in Nathan's quiet confidence that suggested he had more power than anyone could imagine, and she wondered what form it might take. The palace night was quiet, the city below aglow with lights reflecting off crystalline towers. Alara and Nathan returned to the balcony, watching the stars stretch endlessly across the sky. The Empire was safe for now, thanks to Nathan's interventions, but she sensed that challenges were coming, challenges that might test both the human and herself in ways they could not yet foresee. Alara turned to him. You have changed how I see this empire, and perhaps even how I see myself. But I must ask, are you hiding anything from me? Nathan's expression was calm, almost unreadable. I am capable of more than I have shown. There will be times when my abilities are needed in ways that cannot be explained easily. Trust me when the time comes. For now, let us focus on understanding and preparing. Alara nodded slowly. She could feel the truth in his words. There was a depth to Nathan that no one in her empire had seen, and she realized that she would need to learn to rely on him in ways she had never imagined. For the first time, she felt not only admiration but also a cautious anticipation. The human beside her was extraordinary, and the Empire's future might depend on just how far his true abilities could reach. As the night deepened, Alara retreated to her chambers, her mind alive with possibilities. Nathan was no ordinary human, and she could feel that the coming days would test both of them. But for the first time in her life, she felt a quiet certainty. The human she had married would not just be her partner in title. He would become a force that could redefine everything she knew about power, strategy, and courage. The days following the minor attack passed quickly. Nathan had earned the cautious respect of the court, yet he remained calm and observant, never seeking praise. Alara watched him closely. The human's quiet competence had already shifted the court's perception, but she knew he was holding back, like a hidden river beneath a still surface. It was during a routine inspection of the outer defense perimeter that the real threat arrived. Scouts reported a fleet unlike any the Zarenth Empire had encountered, ships fast, sleek, and heavily armed. They moved with purpose, coordinated precision, and a strange energy signature that seemed almost alive. Alara's advisors were tense, their voices tight with worry. The Queen, however, maintained her composure. Nathan, standing beside her, appeared calm. He scanned the approaching fleet with sharp, intelligent eyes. They are not merely raiders, he said. This fleet has been trained, equipped, and coordinated for a full-scale assault. Their aim is to breach our defenses and strike directly at the capital. The head advisor groaned. We have no time for preparation. We must respond immediately. The Queen's fleet is ready, but even our strongest warriors may not withstand them. Nathan's gaze remained steady, almost piercing. Immediate reaction without observation could be costly. We need a plan, and we need precision. Allow me to coordinate the response. You will have access to all data and systems, but follow my directions. Alara's eyes met his. She sensed the same quiet authority in him that had guided his suggestions in the past. She nodded. Do as you see fit, Nathan. Prepare our defenses and guide the fleet. Nathan moved swiftly to the command interface, his hands flowing over controls with grace. Holographic displays rearranged as he analyzed enemy formations, energy readings, and potential weaknesses. Every operator in the command room worked efficiently under his guidance, though some exchanged anxious glances. A human directing an alien fleet was unusual, unprecedented even. But Nathan's confidence inspired obedience. He issued instructions calmly. Northern patrol ships will form a moving shield. Drones will monitor energy fluctuations along the outer perimeter. Reserve units remain hidden until the enemy approaches the inner defenses. Do not engage until I give the signal. Alara's eyebrows rose. You are letting them approach our inner defenses? Nathan's expression did not waver. We observe first. Understanding their strategy allows us to counter effectively. Acting too early may reveal our strengths and weaknesses unnecessarily. Minutes passed and the enemy fleet drew closer. Sensors detected their energy weapons charging in formation, but Nathan's calculations anticipated every move. He shifted patrols with subtle precision, creating traps the enemy would not detect until it was too late. The first wave of attackers fired, aiming at a seemingly exposed section of the outer defenses. The patrol ships moved in perfect timing, intercepting the assault while hidden drones monitored the enemy's energy signals. The fleet's momentum faltered, and Nathan's calm voice directed countermeasures that exploited weaknesses in the enemy formation. Alara watched in astonishment. She had faced countless enemies, led battles, and strategized campaigns that shaped her empire. Yet this human, who appeared so ordinary, was orchestrating the defense with an accuracy that rivaled her own experience. She felt a mix of awe and a growing sense of curiosity. How much did he truly understand, and what abilities did he possess that she could not yet see? The battle intensified. The enemy sent a second wave, more aggressive and unpredictable. Alara expected chaos, yet Nathan remained unshaken. His hands moved over the controls with confidence, adjusting energy shields, redirecting power, and coordinating flanking maneuvers. Each action anticipated the enemy's response as though he could predict their strategy before it happened. "Human you are. Extraordinary," Alara murmured under her breath. She felt a shiver of amazement. He was not merely reacting, he was controlling the flow of battle with precision beyond any alien she had ever known. As the enemy fleet approached the inner defenses, Nathan revealed another layer of his capability. He interfaced directly with the Empire's energy grids, subtly redirecting power to shield vulnerable areas and amplify defensive weaponry. The energy pulses responded instantly to his commands, forming protective barriers and focused blasts against the intruders. Alara's warriors were astonished, unable to comprehend the speed and efficiency with which Nathan managed the battlefield. The enemy commander, realizing the initial strategy had failed, attempted to regroup. Nathan anticipated this. He adjusted patrol routes, modified energy shields, and activated automated drones to intercept flanking maneuvers. The enemy fleet was thrown into disarray, their formations collapsing as they tried to respond to moves they could not predict. Alara felt a surge of pride and relief. The human she had married was saving her empire, not through sheer strength but through intellect, strategy, and the calm control of resources. She could sense that Nathan was not showing his full potential yet, but even what she witnessed was enough to shift the tide of the battle. Finally, Nathan issued the decisive command. "Activate the central energy pulse. Use it in synchronization with all drones and patrol ships. Timing must be perfect." The command room followed his instructions precisely. A brilliant wave of energy radiated from the central hub, striking the enemy fleet at the exact moment the drones and patrol ships converged. Ships were disabled, weapons neutralized, and the enemy's advance halted entirely. The surviving vessels retreated in confusion, leaving the capital unharmed. The room erupted in stunned silence, then applause. Advisors, generals, and warriors turned to Nathan, their expressions a mix of astonishment, respect, and disbelief. Alara herself could hardly contain her amazement. "You did this," she said softly, stepping closer. Her voice carried both admiration and curiosity. "All of this, you controlled it." Nathan remained calm as if the battle had been routine. "I guided it, yes, but it was the coordination of your people and your technology that made it possible. I only applied strategy and timing." Alara's mind raced. This human, who had seemed ordinary, had just prevented what could have been a catastrophic attack. His abilities were far beyond what she had imagined. She felt a mixture of respect, wonder, and a growing sense of caution. There was more to Nathan than anyone could see, and she realized that the Empire had been lucky to have him by her side. In the following hours, the court and citizens celebrated the victory. Nathan remained quietly in the background, assisting with repairs, analyzing the enemy fleet's retreat, and coordinating communication to prevent further attacks. Even in victory, his focus was on preparation, observation, and understanding, not on praise or recognition. Alara, however, could not stop thinking about him. She had expected a political marriage, a human companion who would serve as a symbol of alliance. Instead, she had found someone capable of shaping the fate of her empire with intellect, strategy, and unseen power. She felt a mixture of admiration and curiosity, and a subtle question began to form in her mind. What other abilities did Nathan possess, and when would they be revealed? That evening, as the palace settled into quiet, Alara found herself walking through the gardens again, seeking clarity. Nathan joined her, walking calmly beside her. The night sky above the capital shimmered with stars and distant auroras, reflecting the peaceful moment after chaos. You were incredible today, Alara said quietly, her voice soft yet filled with emotion. I have faced countless battles, yet I have never seen strategy and control like yours. How is it possible for a human to do what you did? Nathan glanced at her, his expression calm and thoughtful. Humans have always adapted to survive. I have trained, studied, and learned. Observation and understanding are as important as strength. Today I applied what I have learned. There is more to me than what you have seen, but it will be revealed only when necessary. Alara nodded slowly. She could feel the truth in his words. Nathan's calm confidence, his understanding of complex systems, and his ability to control outcomes suggested depths she could not yet measure. For the first time, she felt that her role as queen was no longer solitary. She had a partner whose strength complemented hers in ways she had never imagined. As they walked through the gardens, Alara realized that the Empire's future was not only secure, but also filled with potential. Nathan's abilities had prevented disaster, yet she sensed that even greater challenges lay ahead. When those challenges came, she knew the human at her side would be a force beyond comprehension, a combination of intellect, courage, and hidden power. For now, though, the capital slept peacefully, unaware of how narrowly it had avoided catastrophe. Alara and Nathan stood together, watching the stars and the city lights. A new respect had formed between them, a bond forged in calm observation, quiet understanding, and extraordinary ability. And in her heart, Alara knew that the true power of the human she married had only begun to reveal itself. The peace after the failed enemy attack was brief. Scouts reported that the main fleet of invaders was approaching, larger, faster, and more coordinated than anyone had anticipated. The Xerinth Empire faced its greatest threat in decades. Alara, standing in the high command chamber, felt the familiar surge of responsibility. Her people depended on her, but for the first time, she felt a quiet reassurance knowing Nathan would be beside her. Nathan stood near the holographic display, calm as ever. He studied the approaching fleet, his eyes scanning every ship, every formation, every energy signal. This is more organized than the previous fleet, he said. They have leaders who understand our tactics. If we respond conventionally, we could lose many ships. The head general frowned. Then what do you suggest, human? Our forces are ready, but they are limited. We cannot match them ship for ship. Nathan's gaze was steady. We do not need to match them in number. We need precision, strategy, and controlled deployment. I will coordinate the response. Trust my plan. Alara felt a surge of confidence in his words. She had witnessed his skill in the previous attack, and though she did not fully understand his abilities, she knew he was capable. Very well, she said. You will have access to all systems. Guide the fleet. Nathan immediately began his work. Holographic displays shifted and rearranged, showing detailed trajectories of enemy ships, energy readings, and potential weak points. Every operator in the command room worked efficiently under his guidance. He divided forces into smaller, flexible units, assigning precise roles, anticipating enemy movements, and calculating the best defensive positions. Patrol units to flank the northern approach, he instructed. Reserve ships stay hidden behind the asteroid belt. Drones monitor energy fluctuations and communications. Wait for my signal before engaging. Alara watched, astonished by the calm authority in his voice. She had faced countless battles and commanded thousands of troops, yet Nathan's strategy seemed to anticipate every possible outcome. His understanding of both alien technology and human tactics created a combination she had never seen before. The enemy fleet arrived. Ships surged forward, energy weapons glowing ominously. Alara felt a tense thrill as she waited for Nathan's signal. The first wave targeted the outer perimeter, expecting a simple defense. Instead, Nathan's units moved in precise synchrony, intercepting attacks and redirecting enemy fire into traps he had set. Now, Nathan commanded. A sudden burst of energy radiated from the strategically positioned drones and reserve ships. Enemy vessels were caught off guard, their formations breaking under coordinated attacks. The command room erupted with activity, but Nathan remained calm, directing every movement with incredible precision. Alara's heart pounded as she observed him. The human she had married was no longer merely guiding the defense. He was controlling it, predicting every enemy move before it happened. She had never seen such control, even among the most elite Xerinth commanders. The enemy commander realized the plan had failed and attempted to regroup. sending faster, heavily armed ships to break through the inner defenses. Nathan anticipated this as well. Redirect energy to shields in the eastern corridor. Activate automated interceptors. Use the narrow channels to slow them down. Alara watched in awe as the commands executed perfectly. The enemy ships were funneled into areas where they could be neutralized without causing significant damage to the Empire's forces. Every movement seemed effortless, every decision precise. She felt a mix of pride, relief, and astonishment. This human, who appeared so ordinary in the beginning, was revealing power beyond comprehension. Then Nathan did something unexpected. He interfaced directly with the energy grid of the city, channeling power through a complex network that only someone with his understanding could manipulate. Energy beams pulsed and shifted, forming protective barriers and amplifying the defensive weapons output. The enemy fleet struggled against forces they could not predict or counter. "Human," Alara whispered, her voice filled with amazement. "You control it all." Nathan's calm gaze met hers. "I guide what is possible. Your people, your technology, and your defenses respond to precision. This is the first step. There is more I can do, but only if necessary." The enemy fleet, realizing their attack had failed, attempted to retreat. Nathan anticipated even this. "Do not let them escape in formation," he said. "Use the energy pulses to disable engines. Interceptors move to cut off the rear. Force them to scatter." Within minutes, the once organized fleet was in disarray. Ships collided or were captured, weapons disabled. The invaders' leaders signaled surrender, recognizing that their strategy had been completely outmatched. The Zarenth Empire had survived an assault that could have been catastrophic, and Nathan had orchestrated the entire defense with calm mastery. The command room erupted in astonishment and relief. Advisors, generals, and soldiers looked at Nathan in disbelief. Alara herself felt her heart race with pride and admiration. She realized that the human she had married was no ordinary being. He was extraordinary, possessing abilities that even she could not fully comprehend. Later, as the palace celebrated the victory, Alara sought Nathan out. She found him quietly reviewing the battle logs, analyzing each movement with meticulous care. His focus was intense, yet his presence remained calm and reassuring. "You have done the impossible," she said softly. "I have faced countless enemies, yet I have never seen such control, such understanding of battle." "How is it possible?" Nathan looked up at her, his expression calm and confident. "It is not impossible, Queen Alara. It is observation, calculation, and anticipation. Humans have always adapted to survive, and I have trained to apply that skill across different systems. What you see is the result of preparation and understanding." Alara shook her head, amazed. "This is more than preparation. This is power, true power, and you have barely shown me what you can do." Nathan smiled slightly. "There is always more to reveal, but power must be used responsibly. The time will come when everything I am capable of will be necessary. Until then, I act to protect and guide, not to dominate or impress." Alara's mind raced. The human she had married was not merely a partner or ally. He was a force beyond her understanding. She felt both awe and curiosity. How far could his abilities go? What other challenges could he face, and how would he meet them? The Empire's future, she realized, might depend on the limits of this human's power. That night, the palace was quiet, the city below glowing softly under the alien stars. Alara and Nathan walked through the gardens, reflecting on the day's events. The victory had been complete, yet Alara sensed that Nathan's true potential had only begun to surface. "You have changed everything," she said quietly. "Not just for me, but for the Empire. Your abilities, they are beyond anything I expected from a human." Nathan glanced at her, calm and steady. "Humans are underestimated, Queen Alara. We survive in ways that others cannot always understand. My training, my understanding, and my observation allow me to act when needed. Today was necessary. There will be greater tests ahead, and when they come, I will be ready." Alara nodded slowly. She felt a mixture of admiration, trust, and anticipation. The human beside her was not only extraordinary, he was essential. The Empire had survived because of him, and she knew that the days to come would reveal even greater depths of his power. For the first time in her life, Alara felt that she was not alone in the challenges ahead. She had a partner, a strategist, and a protector whose abilities surpassed anything she had imagined. The Empire was safe for now, and the human she had married had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, he could change the course of events with calm, precise, and extraordinary skill. As they stood together under the alien stars, Alara understood something fundamental. The human beside her was not just a companion or a political ally. He was a force that could shape the future of her empire, a being whose true power had only begun to reveal itself, and a partner whose strength, courage, and intellect would challenge everything she had ever known about leadership, strategy, and loyalty. The sun rose over the Zerinth capital, casting brilliant reflections across the crystal towers. Alara stood on her balcony, her thoughts focused on Nathan. The human she had married had already proven himself extraordinary, yet she knew there was still more to his power than she had seen. Today she would finally witness the true extent of what he was capable of. A warning alarm rang throughout the city. Sensors had detected a fleet far larger than anything the Empire had faced before. Their approach was relentless, and their energy signatures suggested technology far more advanced than previous attackers. The council chamber buzzed with tension as generals and advisors scrambled to prepare defenses. Nathan entered calmly, his gaze steady. "This is not a raid. This is a full assault. They intend to take the capital, and their strategy is complex. We must act quickly but with precision." The head general sighed. "Even with your previous strategies, Nathan, we are outnumbered. How can we hope to defend against such a fleet?" Nathan's expression was calm, almost unreadable. "By using every advantage we have. Observation, anticipation, and control will allow us to turn their strength against them. Trust me, Queen Alara." Alara felt a mixture of awe and certainty. She had never placed such absolute trust in anyone. Yet Nathan's presence inspired confidence. She gave the order for the fleet and defenses to follow his guidance fully. Nathan immediately interfaced with the command system, his hands moving over holographic displays with rapid precision. He analyzed the fleet's formation, predicted their attack patterns, and identified weak points in their energy shields. Every calculation was executed with flawless speed, yet he remained calm, issuing instructions with quiet authority. "Deploy patrol units to the northern and southern corridors. Activate energy shields in the central sector. Reserve ships will remain hidden behind the asteroid field," Nathan commanded. "Do not engage until my signal. Observation first, precision second, force last." The alien fleet advanced, energy weapons glowing and engines humming with deadly intent. Alara's forces waited, watching the enemy carefully as Nathan's plan unfolded. The enemy commander expected conventional defenses, yet Nathan had orchestrated a complex trap. "Now," he said, and every unit moved with exact timing. Patrol ships intercepted the first wave. Drones disabled enemy targeting systems, and hidden reserves struck from unexpected directions. The invaders faltered, unable to adapt to the humans' precision-guided defense. Alara's eyes widened. She had witnessed Nathan's skill before, but this was beyond anything she had imagined. He was not merely anticipating moves. He was controlling the battlefield as if he could see the enemy's intentions before they acted. The enemy commander, realizing their attack was failing, attempted a concentrated strike at the capital's core. Nathan anticipated this instantly. Redirect power to the eastern shields. Use synchronized energy pulses to neutralize their weapons. Interceptors moved to cut off their retreat. Energy cascaded across the battlefield, a brilliant display of calculated power. Enemy ships collided or were disabled. Their advance halted completely. The invaders had never encountered an opponent who could counter every move with such speed and accuracy. Alara felt her heart race. Nathan's abilities were no longer just skill and strategy. They were extraordinary, bordering on something she had never seen before. His control over technology, energy, and strategy seemed almost superhuman. As the battle reached its peak, Nathan revealed his final measure. He interfaced directly with the central energy core, channeling a massive pulse that synchronized with every ship, drone, and defensive system. Energy beams surged across the battlefield, disabling enemy engines, neutralizing weapons, and creating protective barriers around the capital. Alara could hardly breathe, watching the display of power. The human she had married was transforming the very nature of warfare. The enemy fleet was collapsing, retreating in disarray, unable to respond to the coordinated precision of Nathan's control. Finally, the enemy commander signaled surrender. The capital was safe, and the largest threat the Empire had ever faced had been neutralized without a single breach of the inner defenses. Alara stepped forward, her heart full of awe and admiration. She had seen Nathan's skill, his calmness, and his intelligence, but now she understood the full measure of his power, something beyond conventional human capability. "Nathan," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion, "I have never seen anything like this. You have saved the Empire, and yet, I know there is more to you than even today has shown." Nathan looked at her calmly. "This was necessary. But you are correct, there is more. What I have shown is only part of my ability. I have trained to understand systems, people, and energy in ways that allow me to act decisively. The rest will be revealed when truly required." Alara felt a surge of respect and trust. She realized that this human was not only her partner in marriage but also a protector of her people, a strategist whose abilities surpassed even the most elite Xerinth commanders. Her advisors and generals who had witnessed the battle now looked at Nathan with a mixture of reverence and disbelief. The celebrations that followed were unlike any the capital had ever seen. Citizens cheered, dancers performed in luminous patterns across the streets, and music filled the air. Yet Nathan remained calm, quietly assisting with repairs, organizing resources, and analyzing the battle to prevent future threats. He did not seek recognition or praise. His focus remained on ensuring the safety and stability of the Empire. Alara found him later in the gardens, watching the stars above the capital. The night was calm, the city below sparkling like a sea of jewels. She approached him, her mind still racing with the events of the day. "You have changed everything," she said softly. "Your power, your understanding, it has saved my people. I can see now that I married someone far beyond what I imagined." Nathan turned to her, calm and steady. "I act only when necessary, Queen Alara. I have trained to adapt, observe, and apply knowledge. Today it was required. There will be other challenges, and I will continue to serve and protect." Alara reached out, placing her hand lightly on his arm. She felt a quiet certainty, a deep trust in the human beside her. "You are more than a partner. You are a force that can guide this empire, protect it, and shape its future. I have never known someone like you." Nathan's eyes softened, a rare expression of warmth. "I am human, yes. But humans have capabilities that are often underestimated. Adaptability, understanding, and courage are part of our nature. I only use them when necessary." The two stood together in silence, the stars reflecting in their eyes. Alara realized that the human she had married had not only saved her empire, but had also revealed the true potential of humanity itself. His calm presence, strategic genius, and hidden power had changed the course of the Xerinth Empire, earning not only her respect but the loyalty and trust of her people. In the following days, Nathan continued to assist in strengthening the Empire's defenses, training leaders and sharing insights into strategy and technology. Alara observed him carefully, noting how his abilities extended beyond mere tactics. He seemed to understand people, systems, and energy in ways that went beyond normal comprehension. Every move he made, every decision revealed the depth of his hidden potential. The alien queen realized something profound. She was not just married to a human. She was married to a being whose true power could alter the destiny of entire civilizations. Nathan's calm confidence, strategic brilliance, and extraordinary abilities had earned him her trust, the admiration of the court, and the loyalty of the Empire. As the sun set over the capital once more, Alara and Nathan stood together on the palace balcony looking out over the city. The crystal towers shimmered in the fading light, a symbol of resilience and beauty. Alara's heart was filled with a mixture of awe, trust, and certainty. "You have changed everything, Nathan," she said softly. "Not just for me, but for the Empire. Your true power, it is beyond what I ever imagined." Nathan smiled slightly, his calm presence reassuring. "There is always more to learn, more to understand. But I will be here beside you to protect and guide. Together we can face anything." Alara felt a deep sense of peace. The human she had married had proven himself extraordinary, revealing abilities that saved her people and altered the course of her empire. She knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, she would not face them alone. Nathan's hidden power, calm intelligence, and unwavering courage had not only earned her respect, but had also secured the future of the Xerinth Empire. For the first time in her life, Alara felt truly certain. The human she had married was extraordinary, and together they would face the future, stronger, wiser, and united.